What's up, you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today?
Hey, that was totally unplanned.
Sound
I
effects.
appreciate
It was
us both thinking of the same thing.
I know. It's something that should be added to the original.
It should be. It should be. So, I was wondering, how long is a Brat Summer exactly?
Can you explain to the grumpy old man what the fuck a Brat Summer is? Because I've heard this a few times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should Google the urban dictionaries up and figure out what that is. But I haven't done that because I don't care that much.
So it's apparently inspired by a singer, Charlie XCX. I don't know what any music they put out is.
You can't name 5 of their songs.
No, I cannot name 5 of their songs. But I think it's just like a Gen Z trend is oh, you're kind of hip and young and you're in with it right now is basically it's a brat aesthetic.
Is that like those shitty dolls that they had in the
No.
mid 2000s, the Brat dolls, Brats with a Z?
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think that shows your age that you even brought that up. Actually.
Definitely showing my age that I brought that up.
But no. So my joke is,
just missed my mouth with half my beer right there. That's all right.
Yeah, you were so focused on Brat Summer that you forgot how to drink a beer, which is impressive. You're just a girl who is a little messy and likes to party and maybe says some dumb things sometimes, who feels herself, maybe also has a breakdown, but kind of parties through it and is very honest, very blunt, a little bit volatile, does dumb things, but it's Brat. You're Brat, that's Brat.
Was that song lyrics or was that just
no? That's her
lucid poetry.
It was a slam reading actually. No, that was a TikTok video dialogue from Charlie XCX, who made it up, I guess.
Oh God!
But so basically,
Gen Z. Sometimes you guys are painful. I love you and I'm trying to be supportive, but sometimes.
Okay, but that also sounded like the most Gossip Girl shit I've ever heard, and I've seen the whole show, so the old one at least.
Not sure why I'm friends with you anymore.
Because I'll still crack open a Busch Light with you. But anyways, the joke is she no longer cares about the young people and the young people vote anymore. Young person's vote. Apparently, she hasn't talked about anything that young people care about.
That is true.
Since she accepted her nomination.
Sorry, guys. This is going to be a little bit of a shit-talking Harris episode.
It is, and we definitely don't want you to take it like we're suddenly changing our minds on whether or not to vote for her, because it's if you don't vote for her, then you're voting for Trump.
You're wrong.
And it's do you want the least bad thing to happen to you or want the most bad thing to happen to you? And if you have those are the two realities that you face.
Absolutely.
You're going to choose the less bad.
And we just want to keep reminding people that or we just want to keep reminding them
that
hey, we exist and you should be paying a little bit more attention to us.
Well, right, the Progressive Caucus is a real fucking thing and we still care and we still are part of the Democratic Party loosely.
Yeah.
So all the energy that the Harris campaign has been experiencing up to this point has been mostly from young people and progressives being actually engaged with the Democratic Party for once in a really long fucking while. And now we get, let's do more immigration. Let's have the strongest army in the fucking world.
Yeah. Most lethal army.
Yes, the most lethal army. And, let's not have universal health or Medicare for all.
Oh, did she abandon that one too now?
She's changed her mind on Medicare for all.
Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah, you're going to be updating me a lot on this. So
yeah, I mean, well, just so you know.
Yeah.
Her values have never changed. They've never changed.
This is something that I got so much shit for because obviously I've never.
When you stand for a politician, you're gonna get shit.
Yeah,
unless it's Bernie, and then you can take it because Bernie's right.
Right. No, but what I've gotten shit for, giving Kamala shit. One of my biggest criticisms is she always seems to stand for whatever is politically convenient to elevate her career at the time. Like,
Right. I mean, a lot of this stuff that she reversed her positions on, I'm kind of quotes because some of it I don't think she's actually reversed her position on. It was just never clarified at the time, and now it's being clarified in a different way than people thought. But like, yeah, a lot of this happened during the 2020 primaries, where a lot of these policy positions that we're saying are flip flopped are from 2020.
right. Well, and just going back even through like her prosecutor career is like she was like, oh, I'm a progressive prosecutor. Oh, and now I'm a tough on crime prosecutor. And it's like, what is the political wind at the moment, and how can I pander to the most people to, you know, step up? And I want to say that I'm not saying that that's always a bad thing. Like,
No, I mean,
I like politicians who
sailing-
have some like sense of self,
Right.
you know, sometimes, but like listening to what the people want and trying to give them that is certainly something that you should get out of a politician.
Yeah, no, I understand sort of like being flexible and fluid to an extent, but like your overall message shouldn't be like I think it's not really her overall message that's changing in any of this, but like god damn.
Yeah. Somebody. So, for everybody on the podcast watching this or listening, watching this after the fact, we're doing this. We do a live when we record this, and since we're both super busy at the moment, so we didn't get to put enough time that we really felt was good into this outline. We're definitely bringing in some of the live commentary a little bit more, and one of the people in the live here, Jonah Wild, pointed out that somebody made a point that they are going to conservative areas right now and trying to peel off conservative votes in the past couple weeks, and maybe that's a campaign strategy that they are hitting. I think that that's a cop out, honestly.
Yeah, you know, we have talked about for weeks now about the mythical undecided voter.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like, even if there are a few people out there, I just can't imagine that they're in the thousands and hundreds of thousands. Like, I just don't think that that's the case when you have basically somebody who's been running. This is his third time running. So how do you not have an opinion after this is the third time that you've had to potentially choose for them? And then somebody who's basically like Joe Biden, you know, Joe Biden's black ghost. I don't know, like of policy decisions. So like,
yeah,
I don't think it's there. I don't think it's there. I think this pandering to the center bullshit has never worked for Democrats, and it's not going to work this time to the extent that they think it's going to. And I think it's
another point is that it has kind of worked for Warnock.
Okay,
but
that's a state election,
that
first
is a
of
state
all,
election.
and it's Democrats are more centrist than they are like lefties for sure.
Right. So, but I mean that would be the point of trying to peel off, you know, conservative centrists or
that's different than I think.
But so I guess I think the issue is, and another person pointed out, you know, she's a politician. You can't get to that level of politics without some sort of sociopathic tendencies. Although I will disagree because Tim Walz does not seem like a sociopath to me.
Bernie.
And
Bernie is down to earth.
Yep.
Just watch the Hassan Minhaj interview with him about the DNC.
Yeah.
Great interview.
All right.
It's like 20 minutes long. Super awesome.
But anyway, you know, I think that Democrats focus too much on what the fuck centrist voters care about and peeling them off, or like, you know, where are the swing voters going to go? And they just don't focus enough on turning out the fucking vote. Like, give us something to be excited and energized about. And I think, like, if you couldn't see that coming from the Harris rebrand of this election, like, Biden drops out, Harris steps up, and it's huge. right?
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Right.
It swung way more than I thought it was going to. There's
Yeah.
a ton of galvanization, and then you
like
get
10 points in the polls.
Oh,
like
it was
massive,
just
massive
fucking
amounts
massive.
of.
And then you go and you bring Tim Walz on, and once again, just huge. And then you have the DNC, and again, just huge. And it's like that's what you need to be focusing on, not focusing on these fucking middle of the road voters that nobody gives a shit. Like, why are you giving a shit about them? Fuck them at this point. Like,
Right, they don't vote. That's the whole fucking
they don't,
point.
or they're going to vote basically the same way, regardless of what you do. Like,
Right.
party line Democrats are going to vote party line Democrat, no matter what. Whether you pander a little bit more to the progressives, who don't vote a lot of the time, I hate it. That's my cohort, but
Well, unless you have somebody like Bernie or somebody who's
Right.
actually, shows the progressive side of people that, like, hey, we do care about you in any way whatsoever. And that was the celebrating that was going on, was this coalition between progressives and the Democratic Party. That is like, my problem with this recent messaging, is that there's no clear core elements to what they're saying all the time. You should be saying, we are the party of freedom of bodily autonomy. We are the party that will care for your sick and your poor and your tired and your homeless people. We are that party. There are individual policies that we can discuss and we can debate that. But we are for the people. That should be your message. And then if somebody wants to talk about fracking or immigration, discuss the topic and how there's nuance, and they're most of the time a little bit complicated. Like, start from somewhere where people can actually like latch on to that message instead of just always floating with the wind. Which I can't stand. I can't stand it.
I know, and I totally agree, and that's why I think that Kamala has struggled on the national scale for popularity. I think that's why she struggled in the primary. Well, and I think there's a couple of reasons. One of the other reasons I think she's really struggled is because, being a prosecutor, she is very, very used to being in like the point of authority.
She's the one asking the questions, not being asked the
questions.
questions.
Exactly. Nobody's looking into me. I'm looking into you. And so then when that gets returned, and now somebody is sitting there asking her questions, interviewers, debate moderators, now suddenly it's like she freezes up. She acts awkwardly a lot of the times, and it's not that negates anything that she can do for her job. That doesn't make her a worse president by any means.
We've said time and time again that oration is a skill, but it does not overall determine your efficacy of being a president.
No, it just makes her less relatable to people who you need to vote to become president, and that's where the problem comes in. And so I think that's part of it, and then it's that. Yeah, that sway in the wind of this is where I feel like the political wind is going, and this is why I wrote immigration on this, because I feel like
the biggest one.
It is painful to watch Democrats just flounder on this fucking issue.
It's so easy too. It's so easy. It's so easy to counter the right wing messaging points. Immigration is out of control. Is it? Are there entire towns being destroyed by criminals?
We have the statistics. Here they are. If you disagree, you're a fucking moron. Have a nice day. That's all you need to fucking say.
Right.
And they don't do that. They're like, nope, we're going to give the Republicans everything they wanted in a bill. And the Republicans are like, yeah, no, we're not even going for that.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, I'm going to executive order this shit, and I'm just going to shut the border down. And the Republicans are like, see, we tried telling you, and we were right the whole time, and now it's more Biden's fault. And then you just watch the Overton window. Like, you can't even run fast enough to catch up with the goddamn Overton window. And what? Why?
On fucking rocket shoes, you couldn't catch up to that goddamn Overton window being shut. And it's just so dumb because Democrats will never be the party that is strong against illegal immigration.
And we shouldn't be.
We have
that party. Let them go be strong against illegal immigration, and then we can tell them, you're fucking morons.
Right. You're not going to peel off the voters. In that's what everything that they're saying, like, we're trying to get more centrists or more people to vote for us. You're not. If you immigration is a big issue for you,
Yeah.
you're not going to vote Democrat.
No.
You are going to vote the party that screams, that cries about immigration, that does nothing about it, but cries about it 24/7 and says this is a huge fucking issue. That's the party you're going to go for. If you think that immigration is one of the top 2 or 3 issues that our country is facing, it's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That the Democrats are capitulating to this messaging.
And it's genuinely like soul gratingly painful to watch it happen because again you are giving prudence, you are giving justification to everything that Republicans have said all of this time.
In there's no data to back up their fucking messaging. I can't understand it. They're like, oh, they're bringing over their fence and all. And she even said in most of this, I'm basing off of her speech accepting the presidential nominee and the CNN interview, which I think is, how do you have an hour-long conversation only have like 25 fucking minutes of fucking content?
Because I told you she sucks at interviewing.
Right.
And I said this.
Favor.
I did a video on her before that, and I told I finally got a prediction right, guys. I was like, she's gonna bomb a fucking interview because it's just honestly looking at history and being like, it's going to repeat itself. Sure. She sucks at this.
Yeah.
But like, I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that's why they were putting off doing the interviews because she's so bad at it, which is a double-edged sword because she doesn't do them, so she's not getting more comfortable with them.
Right.
And then every time she doesn't do one, it puts more pressure on the one that she finally does do.
Right. Like the biggest things that I could get out of that interview were we're going to prop up the middle class and we're going to create an opportunity economy.
Yeah. Cool.
Whatever the fuck an opportunity economy is. Like I get like the like think tank like level like verbiage and like we're creating an opportunity economy for all these people who have been disenfranchised by our current economy. It's like that's not a good message to be like Joe Biden was the president for the last 4 years. If they were going to not be disenfranchised, hopefully he could be doing something. And I will fully admit that like taking over from the Trump presidency and taking over COVID is a really tough job, and I don't think that he's done any worse than anybody could have ever like done. Like I think Trump handled COVID worse than Biden handled the recovery of COVID. I don't think that anything that he has done has significantly impacted inflation or anything around rising costs, or otherwise. I think that is hugely due to a just-in-time supply chain economy, global economy that has been riding on the razor's edge of fucking next day delivery for the last decade and a half, and this was the comeuppance of that. Failure to plan ahead due to profit margins. Yeah. And then the other effect is profit margins. Fucking greedflation, a literal actual thing that companies have now come out and like said like, yeah, like we did raise prices just because we could. And,
And then, but heaven forbid, she says that she's going to address price gouging, and then it's fucking communism and price fixing.
Right.
Which, like,
I mean, it's like cool, like go after price gouging. But if that's what you're saying as one of the few things, like if somebody asked you, what do you plan to do day one? I was like, oh, I'm gonna tackle price gouging.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Is that your job as the president to make sure that price gouging gets tackled on day one? No, you appoint a cabinet member, and that's what the cabinet member says, not you as the fucking president. As the president, you say corporate greed is out of control, and as such, I will be nominating X person to deal with price gouging, to deal with price fixing, to deal with monopolies.
Hey, DNC, are you listening? Can we be your messaging people? Like, because you guys really suck at this shit.
It's mind-boggling. I don't understand. Like, you're supposed to be a professional politician now?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That was the worst interview I've seen out of a politician since watching Donald Trump go to Lex Friedman and talk about how fucking great he is at everything he's ever touched, including his. Never mind.
But that's a giant little Austin Powers reference there,
right? So back to immigration specifically.
I just want to point something out here because I think it's funny in the live is Kate here, who is a Republican, who informed us that she's voting for a traitor, felon, like a traitor that has furs, or and I found that interesting that that's what she's going for. You know what? That's bringing jobs back to America, right?
We're bringing back the fur trade. Fuck the coal miners. Fuck fracking. We're going back to fur trading. We're going to bring back those jobs. We're going to bring fur trading back to Minnesota.
Make America frontier again.
That's honestly the best way to talk about anybody who's like going to say we're going to bring back coal mining jobs. Oh, next we're going to bring the fur traders too, right?
I love that. I love that. Fucking Oregon Trail, baby. Here we come. And I don't mean the 90s version.
Hey, I'd take a remastered Oregon Trail for sure.
You'll be literally dying of dysentery, especially with this healthcare system.
Right, yeah. Oh my God, that is probably one of the best things to come out of your chat, live chat there. Okay, back to specifically immigration. The executive order and the fucking immigration bill, that was really, really dumb. Didn't accomplish anything. No, everybody saw right through it, but that was Biden. You could say that was Biden.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But then for Harris to go into that CNN interview and basically walk back her stance on decriminalization of the legal crossing the border in a position that is now further right than the godfather of destruction, Ronald Reagan, the holiest of Bible
unholiest
of Bible dick writers himself. She is now further right than his stance on illegal immigration.
To be fair,
yeah,
the Republican Party, modern Democrats,
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan would be a fucking raging liberal socialist according to modern Republicans, and most modern Democrats are Reagan-ish at this point.
True.
On most things. I mean, because like even on economics, like you look at Clinton through Obama on economics, like they weren't as bad as Reagan, but it was still Chicago school all the way through all of that. Like it was still deregulation. It was still, allow.
I mean, Obama did bring some regulation back, but not as much into the economy and the financial system.
And that's
besides like the Glass-Steagall Act and all that shit with the 2008, but like
they completely crashed the entire system, and we needed to put some guardrails back in place that hadn't been there. But like that has been the school that has been the economic policy for Democrats and Republicans for years. And Republicans just continue to move further right towards fascism. And
Clinton basically deregulated more shit than Reagan did.
Yeah, I mean, it was picked up. It was just picked up and moving the ball. Clinton's policy, economic policy, at least had a calculator involved with it, so they could balance a budget and be like, this is how the economy works and whatnot. But like the fact that they hail Reagan, and it's like if Jesus came today, they'd be like, oh, this is a fucking communist, and Reagan would be a socialist, and and that's really where we're at with this. Is Harris is fairly much in line because Republicans keep dragging us, and I would like to say kicking and screaming, but Democrats are like, they fumble the ball sometimes, and the Democrats pick it up and run it towards their end goal for them.
I got confused.
Like, I didn't know which way I was supposed to go. And I just, it's this sort of shit. Like, why? You have a winning argument on immigration for anybody who isn't already not going to vote for you anyway.
If anybody can trust a statistic, you have a winning argument. That's what it comes down to. If you trust the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to accurately report crime figures and border crossing figures and fentanyl, crossing and fentanyl capture
Yep.
on the border, you know that it's not the fucking illegal immigrants that are doing the bad shit that the boogeyman says they're doing.
And it's not the illegal immigrants sending their rapists and their whatevers, like
criminals or murderers, whatever.
Like they're the lowest crime demographic in the country.
Yeah.
Like across the board.
Right.
Undocumented immigrants commit the least amount of crime, and it makes so much sense. It's like just common sense. Like if I'm here and I get caught by anybody, I'm going right back across the border.
Right.
So I'm going to do absolutely nothing to draw attention to myself ever. Like I'm not going to steal shit, and I'm not going to murder people, and I'm not going to do the rapes and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
I mean, they are the lowest demographic for committing crime, except if you take sexual abuse out of the Catholics. Then they're the lowest. Sorry, it just felt like it was in the moment.
That's fair. That's fair.
But honestly, just play Donald Trump saying they're sending their worst. They're not, they're sending their criminals, their murderers, their rapists on a fucking loop, and supposed on that is the crime statistics, and be like, yeah, Donald Trump's a fucking idiot over and over and over again.
Yep.
And make the Republicans come to you on the argument.
Absolutely.
It's not that hard.
Stop meeting them where they're at. And they continue to do this. And this is the thing that has been just, it murders me. It literally murders me every single time that they do this. I don't understand why the hell it is this hard to just be like, this is a make-believe issue. And if Republicans keep bitching about replacement rates,
right,
this is the way to fix that issue.
Yeah.
Not force women to have babies. It's like, all right, here's the option. We are not having enough children to maintain the replacement rate in our society to pay for old people fucking
existing. 20 years past, what they should have been.
So, if that's what's gonna happen, we've got two options. We can force you all to have all the kids you don't want and take away all your bodily autonomy, or we can, give the nice brown people a legal way to come here and work
at
and
McDonald's
pay for your old
slightly
fucking ass to not die. That's that's the two options. Which
Right.
one sounds better to you? Like,
yeah, it's literally that easy to make an argument against it. But instead, they just capitulate. They capitulate for no fucking reason other than I have to think that they legitimately don't give a flying fuck, and they will literally do whatever and say whatever if they think they'll peel a few more fucking centrists off the fucking voting
and again,
line.
why keep pointing? Like, there's so many more progressives that if you pay us a little
Bernie
bit.
almost beat fucking Clinton.
Right.
The progressives almost kicked the fucking Dem strongholds
even with them
ass.
trying to fuck it over.
Yeah,
the
even
entire
with
time.
them fucking over Bernie, they almost fucking won. If Hillary Clinton was, gender swapped, I think Bernie would have won.
No, absolutely.
Which, fine, like. Hillary, I'm glad that she's a woman running for president. I'm not saying anything about that.
I got no problem with that specifically. It's just, she didn't give a progressive message.
No, fuck no.
And
just say Benghazi 10 times and she lost. It's crazy.
Anyway, sorry, I took you way off topic.
No, that's okay. So that's the immigration shit. So she's fully on the right, Republican train for immigration policy now, as the Democratic Party is apparently. Doesn't make any fucking sense to us, but here we are. Another thing that when I heard it, I was thinking, am I watching a Republican, national convention or a Democratic national convention? As commander-in-chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Who the fuck do you think you're pandering to? Do you think Democrats are all like, oh, I want the fucking military to be the best and always kick everybody's asses? Or do you think that's maybe a different party? I don't understand that, I don't think I've ever heard in my lifetime a Democrat say those words.
No. No.
much less at her acceptance of the presidential nominee.
Right, like,
are you fucking kidding me?
I've definitely seen them talk that way.
Well, like, oh, we need to have a strong military.
Right,
It's like, fine. Like,
because that's every president in the history of ever has said that
yes,
shit.
exactly.
But no, it makes no fucking sense that, like, you got the acceptance speech, and she's like, America, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they were trying to, like, reclaim the freedom thing, like, but not by doing the thing that the anti-freedom people do. You don't do it that way. You fucking do it by, showing that you care more about fucking Americans than, having the most expensive bombs in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw one of the comments on one of the articles was, I don't want the most lethal force in the world. I want to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I want the least lethal force in the world. I would like some health care. Like,
Yeah.
could we get some unlethal force up in this country? Like, that would be fucking great.
And my wife, which she's definitely more progressive than the Democratic Party generally, but we were listening to that speech, or I rather was somewhat forcing her to listen to the speech.
Hey, babe, check this out.
Yeah, I was like, hey, babe,
you're going to love this thing you're going to absolutely hate.
I was like, hey, babe, do you want to listen to the speech I already listened to? She's like, oh, okay.
Wait, here comes the best part. And that's what I always love, because I do this to Emily sometimes, too. And I'm like, oh, and then you, like, stare at them, and you wait for their face to, like, have the same reaction.
I was, like, trying to be subtle about it. Like, I knew when the moments were coming up. Like, I was like, oh, she's about to do the thing.
Yep,
she's about to do the thing. And then she didn't react. She was like, I don't see a problem with that. And I'm like, yeah, but let me explain to you why. And she was like, well, if you have to explain it, then I don't give a shit about it.
Yep. That's fair. You can't expect everybody to be as, like, annoyingly obsessed with this shit as we are.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, we... and I was listening to Hassan Piker react to it, too, which... I don't think she likes him as much as I do. I think she...
I'll be fair. I'm not sure anybody likes Hassan Piker as much as you do. Like,
I think there's plenty of people
probably
that like him way more than I do. But like she, when he was listening to it in real time, right? And like he was reacting and not in like a logical like break it down in the moment, like exactly like the way that he was just like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, why are you saying this? This is like, this makes no fucking sense. And she was like, oh, it makes perfect sense to me. Like, she's trying to like bring more people who care about patriotism into the Democratic Party. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That's the problem.
And this is where I think some of our frustration stems from, is we view politics through a very specific lens. And I do my absolute best to try to view it through a broad lens.
Yeah.
But it's still hard, because like when you understand stuff, like, because most people don't like just take that association, that connotation of like patriotism, and then like all right, like, oh yeah, you're just trying to appeal to those people in the middle that totally really exist for real, but like that's where most people live. Most people that don't make politics part of their everyday life, and the more you make politics part of your everyday life, the more you see the people on the opposite side who make politics part of their everyday life, but the less you see the people in the middle who just genuinely don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah, literally. They don't vote. That's how much they don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah, there's hundreds of millions of people that don't fucking vote a year.
Or if they do vote, they're just voting for the, yep, that's the guy I want to have a beer with type of fucking people, And so I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to, for us to have empathy, I feel like, with maybe some of these policy or like some of this rhetoric positions that they're coming out on, but they've just been proven time and again that they're not working. I feel like.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you have never controlled all three parts of the legislative,
Well, you mean the judicial, the executive, and the legislative branches?
I mean the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Yeah.
I would say those are the three that are involved with legislation.
Yeah, no, they are.
Right. So if you never controlled the trifecta, right, that we
Mhm.
talk about here in Minnesota all the time, then you're messaging wrong, or your message is wrong.
Democrats have controlled the trifecta.
Not for a really long time.
Biden did in his first 2 years.
Well, he's an idiot.
I know, right? I mean, but well, okay, fair enough. He got. I mean, and it was barely. It was.
Right.
It was with Harris as the tie-breaking vote in the
and
Senate.
it was with Sinema and fucking Joe Manchin, which are no longer fucking Democrats.
Right,
They were fake Democrats.
And then the Senate has these weird like 2/3 rules and shit to actually like pass certain stuff, and so like you can control it, not really control it. And when they controlled it again. 50-50 with Harris being the tie-breaking vote. So
I don't really consider that control.
No, it's not.
But
and here's what's okay, man, this is just a bitch fucking episode. We're just
hey, congratulations! Welcome to our 52nd episode.
Yeah, I know.
Tonight's the debate, and you're listening to this as we prep for it.
Speaking of which, no, I'm not going to say that on here. It would be a plug for something that you would hear afterwards. So never mind. Anyway, breaking. Okay, sorry. I'll circle back to that. What's frustrating to me is that the thing that demonstrates how bad people on the left are about getting out and voting is the fucking Senate. Because
people, I saw that you put out a whole fucking video on it.
It fucking pisses me off to no end. The gerrymandering, that's the problem. Guess what? You can't fucking gerrymander the Senate.
No,
the Senate is
it is the purest form of democracy that we currently have today.
It is, kind of,
which is weird to say,
because it's really nowhere close. Because every state gets 2 senators, and that's super fucked up. They shouldn't.
Fucking Rhode Island should not have the same legislative capabilities as fucking Texas or California. I'm sorry.
Right, or Wyoming. You know, but like the fact that the Senate is always so closely contested is the proof that Democrats, you don't get out and vote, and you damn sure don't. You don't even vote down ballot to the next fucking like it's the one immediately below. It's the next highest thing you can vote for is the fucking Senate, and you guys aren't out there voting for it.
Well, and you could tell because of the physical amount of votes that are there for president, but just aren't there for Senate. It's like it's the proof's in the pudding.
And you all bitch about Mitch McConnell, but we gave Mitch McConnell that power by not getting out and voting to not give him majority control ever. Like,
yeah, it's baffling.
Why? All right, sorry. I wanted to. Oh man.
So another one, I think we briefly mentioned it, is that she is not currently in favor of Medicare for all, which I think is a pretty atrocious thing for a Democratic nominee to not be, at least
right. And she used to be.
She was in 2020, and that's part of the flip flop.
But she walked that back in 2022 when people got weird about it because because again, I feel like Harris just looks at polls and adjusts accordingly, and sometimes that's not a great way to govern.
You could say that. Maybe not the best.
Somebody said, any comment on Dems breaking LEAH laws every day? LEAHY laws.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that.
I have no comment currently because I have no fucking idea what that even means.
Oh, I put in Leah laws, and it's just about dogs on a leash. Leahy. Leahy. There we go. Right, with Israel? Is that the...
It probably
yes, the Leahy law, where we are not allowed to support financially or militarily any country that's committing basically like genocide or other human right violations. And clearly fucking Israel is doing that, and we are still providing them money and the ability to commit said human right violations.
All right, so I'm first going to start this off in response to that. Any comment on Democrats breaking that is it's not just fucking Democrats. It has
No.
been every single party in political
We
control
have
since
never
the dawn.
followed that. That law
No,
is a
no.
rule for thee and not for me.
Mhm.
That's basically been the foreign policy stance for the United States since inception. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
that's the problem.
And this is what frustrates me a lot too with, and we've talked about this, and the pro Palestinian, which I'm very pro Palestinian.
Yeah, of course.
The pro Palestinian activists are very pissed off at Democrats for not following that particular party line, and just are basically giving Republicans a pass on the fact that, oh, well, they're not going to do it anyway. Or I guess I don't know why they're giving Republicans a pass, but they don't bring it up at all in that sense. They will shit talk Democrats left and right on this particular topic and then be like, well, Republicans are a lost cause, I guess. I don't know. But like, if you're
Right.
not.
That's exactly it. I agree. It is. It is. And I do think it's a little bit interesting that like this is all Biden's fault. Like,
Right.
like,
Israel, have you been a part of the United States since 1947? Because this has been the way it's been since 1947.
We've had the exact same stance since 1947.
And we've done the exact same thing with supporting Israel, and Israel's been doing the exact same shit they're currently doing since 1947. Like, none of this is new, folks.
It just so happened to have flared up when Biden was presidency. If Trump was the president, you would be like, oh, Biden wouldn't do any of this. You'd be like, he'll be for peace.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't, and he's not, and no president that is currently nominated or a presidential candidate that's nominated gives a flying fuck about the Leahy Law or our foreign policy in the way that it impacts the world and foreign nations and their sovereignty. We clearly give zero fucks about their democratic elections, historically speaking, and currently. So I get it that like by proxy you're sort of supporting a genocide, literally. Welcome to America. I don't know, like this is the politics, this is the system that we have been given. It sucks. We talk about it all the time, how there are ways that we can make it better, how we can change to publicly funded elections, how we can change to ranked choice voting or other voting options. But that's not what any of them care about in any of our elected officials. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, life will be worse if Trump gets elected.
For the people in Palestine.
For people in America. So if you are okay with that eventuality becoming more probable, then yes, blame Biden, blame the Democrats for
and
Israel's
absolutely
genocide.
hold them. And that's the thing is, like, I've got no problem with people protesting outside of the Democratic National or the Democratic events and all of that kind of stuff. Like,
absolutely
please do that. I have no problem with you guys voting for whoever their opponents are in all of their primaries.
Yes,
do
voting
that.
Uncommitted.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Vote
Please.
uncommitted in the primaries all fucking day. Do it for sure. No doubt about it.
But the fact is that it comes down to, you have to have some sort of semblance of what is the next step forward to achieve the goals that we hope to achieve in this process. And here's the thing is, again, in these comments, the same person here, MD Parker, said we're mad at Biden because he spent his career taking more money from Israel than any other. And I don't know, I haven't fact checked that if it's true or not. But
once again, a reason to change our campaign financing law so AIPAC can't have that fucking control.
Thank fucking again. But then he said also we're mad at Biden because he spent his career making more than
Making what?
Sorry, it was this. I was just rereading the same one. But then he prior to that said, or they. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. MD, I have no idea if it's a he or she, but they said because Dems can be moved, possibly, whereas Republicans won't budge.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that. That's true. Clearly, they don't give a shit this election cycle,
right? But so this is where this kind of I hate to use the word cognitive dissonance in this situation, but also this is where that situation comes in where, okay, so you acknowledge that you are putting more pressure on Democrats because they can possibly be moved, their policy can be moved, but in the same sense, you are also facilitating the probability of putting the people in office who can't be moved.
Right, by saying you shouldn't vote for Joe Biden.
Right. Or Kamala Harris, or in that sense.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, I can't.
I agree. That's a very good point, and I think that is not highlighted enough. How can you be okay with one eventuality if you're so concerned, and you mostly are concerned with Democrats having a set position? That's a good point.
And so that's where and then he just pointed out disenfranchisement is not the fault of the voters, and that is absolutely true.
Absolutely
true.
Politicians should want to get your vote, and you have absolutely every right to push them to and request that they vote for their constituencies and the way their constituencies want. But in our current system, they can apparently not give a flying fuck.
No, and this is again where we go through, and I think where especially people like me who I comment on this kind of stuff every single day. Like this is in a way what I do for a living, basically at this point, and trying to explain that, like, all right, here is our realistic path forward. If this is the goal we want to achieve, is to no longer have the Electoral College, to have realistic third-party candidates, to have more say in our democratic process.
Yeah.
It starts with electing, not Donald Trump and all of his cronies, and just throwing us into
that
fascism.
will set us back.
Yeah, that's gonna require us to do a little bit more legwork in the future.
Right.
And then after that, it's like, okay, we can push our state representatives to join the popular vote interstate compact to try to undermine the Electoral College. We can start pushing our state and U.S. representatives to change their policies on what they're voting for in the legislature on things like Israel and Palestine and all of that.
Right. And even more base than that is funding for elections and because they're going to be obviously participating in said revised elections.
And so like this is where I'm getting really frustrated, is because I keep saying, like, I get it. This isn't we would all love this to be fixed in November, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
And I get that it is a very passionate problem because, yes, it is absolutely a genocide. There's
it's an atrocity.
It is an atrocity.
And it is very, very difficult to look at that and...
But you have to take your feelings out of this, and this is something that probably I struggle with empathy on, and I try to be an empathetic person in every way that I can, but I really struggle with why people can't take their feelings out of stuff and look at something pragmatically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a case to be made that, making policy based off of empathy is absolutely the way to go. And I think that's the way that you would agree is what we should be absolutely doing. But there's a difference between promoting a policy and actually doing the policy work and reacting to what's actually being done and how it actually works today.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference between, thought and planning versus where the rubber meets the road. And we're not even close to being able to react to a situation like this as a populace.
No.
In anything remotely close to real time. We are doing everything we possibly can right now today to promote the Palestinian effort for a state and stopping this war. As far as I know, if there was another tool that activists could be using, they'd be doing it. And in the current system, our politicians don't have to give a flying fuck.
No, they really don't. And that's
because we don't have the things that we talk about all the fucking time. You can't just be like, well, you can't vote for them because they're doing this. And it's like, well, how about we do things that can actually help us do the things that you want to do? Let's talk about those things in the same breath of talking about how they should be changing.
Right.
Instead of just always focus on the fucking like problem, like let's focus on fixing it for once.
Yeah, and let's talk about those things and how we achieve that end goal.
Yeah.
And
It's like I always think about The Martian,
mm-hmm.
the book, the movie.
Yep.
Like fucking Watney's all up doing like mathematical equations to fix one problem at a time in an effort to fucking live.
Yep.
And that's what we need to be doing as progressives, as a coalition that is not captured by the Democratic Party and the two-party system.
Great analogy. Honestly, that is a great analogy. No, yeah. The car is missing one component I wanted. I still bought it because it has everything else is great. Is another just kind of analogy about that sort of thing. And I won't even say that everything else in the Democratic Party is great. No, I would say that this is a mediocre used car.
Right. We've literally spent the last 45 minutes bitching about how the Democratic Party fucking blows in some areas.
But then also, we're parked on a hill, and at least this car runs and can still drive us up the hill, where the other car, we're just going to roll backwards down the hill until we get back to where we started, or worse, start tumbling over and over. This analogy is getting a little bit out of...
No, it's not bad, though. But yeah, so I mean... Obviously, idealism is important. But it's the same. It's still part of the coin that is idealism versus realism.
Yeah,
you cannot have one without the other.
No,
and so therefore they're almost equally as important. Like you have to have the idea, but then you have to have the way to do it.
Yep.
And so just complaining that the idea isn't happening and not focus on how to do it, that's not going to fix anything. By saying you shouldn't vote for Joe Biden because he's helping commit a genocide,
or Kamala Harris because she's been in office for 4 years. Can we also stop with this shit too? Because I am so fucking sick of the Kamala's been in office for 4 years.
Why haven't you fixed all the problems that you say you're going to fix now?
Why hasn't the vice president just magically waved her magic vice president wand and just undone all of the bad stuff? Like,
so to get away from the Israel conversation and that conversation, I just want to go back to the CNN fucking interview. That way that she asked, like, okay, so like you want to do all this stuff as president, but like, why aren't you doing it now? I was like, did you literally just like repost a right-wing meme on CNN and a fucking interview for the presidential candidate?
There should have been a perfectly acceptable backhand moment, like perfectly legal. You get a free pass from assault or anything like that. Just fucking backhand. Like, that is my answer. Sit back down and move on to the next question.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this CNN or is this Fox fucking News? Like, are you just gonna like spout right-wing propaganda and be like, why don't you do this stuff? Huh?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, one of the worst CNN interviews ever conducted that I've ever seen.
It was atrocious. It was genuinely atrocious. But again, I knew it was coming, and I kind of felt like it was going to go that way anyway, because I figured that they would go with, CNN or the like to try to ease Kamala back into interviewing with something that was going to be a little less hard-hitting, and then CNN would just awkward the fuck out of it as well, because they're like, we need to make it seem hard-hitting, but like not actually be hard-hitting.
That's exactly how I described that interview. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And even the way they asked Walz about like, we know you guys did infertility treatments, but you guys only did IUI, right? You didn't do IVF, but you said you did IVF. And I was like, why the fuck do you give a flying fuck?
What does it matter? Like what's the difference?
Walz was like, I'm pretty sure Americans aren't splitting hairs if they're dealing with this situation, and I'm highlighting an issue that people are facing, and people want to have kids, and fertility rates are dropping.
People understand what IVF is. And like, if you say, how do you feel about IUF? And I'm like, is that like a roadside bomb?
You didn't even say it right. It's IUI.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't even... see, like,
nobody knows about IUI. More people know about IVF.
So if you're just going to say that on the spot, you're not going to be like, IUI IUI and let me explain to you what type of infertility treatment this is.
Right. I could not believe.
But that's probably stolen valor right there because, he didn't actually spend time in the IVF trenches.
He's stolen infertility valor. Fucking CNN dropped this. I mean, they did this CNN thing, which is where they pretend
CNN's
to be
a trash network and has been for, ever. I mean, it's
right.
cable news.
Since the 80s, when Reagan ruined the news industry.
Just cable news in general. Like don't watch cable news. And
No.
I hate punditry in general. Honestly, that's probably why I'm not as big of a Hassan Piker fan.
Because he just focuses on the national topic.
Right, and he's a pundit. And which
he self-describes him that.
Right, and I hate punditry. And I feel that there's probably some irony in that because I could probably sort of be described as a pundit, maybe, perhaps, possibly. But I hate consuming punditry. Like, I want...
So I like watching him because he usually has an informed take on the way that people are being biased and or just fucking stupid in real time. Like he's able to come up with it, and it's like, yeah, that person was being a fucking idiot. That is a dumbass question to ask. I can't believe they're putting right-wing propaganda on CNN. And so that's why I like.
But I get that, but that's also my problem with that because then that is more echo chambery bullshit, and
but it's true.
It is
most of the time.
But then that's the same thing people said about Tucker Carlson when that's the way. He's speaking some truths.
And I get that. I get it's definitely a little bit echo chambery.
And that's why I hate punditry because people find the pundits that echo their thoughts. And to try to defend myself on doing punditry as well, I do my best to try to present both sides of an issue and give credit where it's due when it's due. And I make I try to make no representation that I am unbiased in my views or opinions. Like, if you have followed me for any length of time, you know where I stand on most things at this point, I would assume,
Thank you for defending Hassan Piker. No, just kidding. But no, what are we doing here if we're not
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Trying to promote a message that we
fair.
believe is a message that's promoting humanity and
humankind. I don't dislike Hassan Piker. I just don't.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a fanboy.
I don't watch punditry. I don't watch like news stuff at all. I usually do. I consume everything through print media. Basically.
You do the print media I also read. I got a New York Times subscription. Like I tried to do some print media, but I spend a lot more time on YouTube than you do. So
yeah, no, you spend a lot of time on YouTube. I don't know. What's the next fucking part of this
the
topic?
next point, I was actually just getting to that. The next point is fracking. So in 2020, when she was running, she said that she was in favor of banning fracking.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me means, especially coming from a politician, to me, I would interpret that as I think fracking is bad, and I would ban it probably. And now she's saying, I don't think it's necessary to ban it while still committing to a green economy.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I don't feel like that's as much of a flip-flop as people are saying. It's like a flip-flop.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Because did she say that I plan on banning fracking immediately? Did she say that she's planning on, she's in favor of banning fracking while it's still a major detriment to the economy of Pennsylvania and a minorly significant impact on the environment?
Yeah.
No, my problem with your take on it with this interview was that she did nothing to she was like, oh, my values haven't changed. My values haven't changed. I'm in favor of the Green New Deal because I think climate change is real, and I don't think we have to ban fracking in order to somehow and make it to a green economy. It's like, okay, that's not a terrible answer. It's probably my favorite answer of hers, but she doesn't come out and say that immediately. She has to
No.
be like cajoled, and she's like, never. The reporter had to ask follow-up questions like, "Oh, was there like any data or like new studies that came out that like changed your mind? Like, why did you change your mind?" And all she has to say is like, "I didn't change my mind. I think, and I know that fracking is detrimental to the environment, which is obviously at odds to humans living in fucking Pennsylvania."
Right.
And as much as we need energy independence, there are cleaner ways to get to it, and there are ways to phase it out in a way that is not inherently just crushing to the economy and to the households of civilian people living and working those jobs. And so, yes, in a way, I am in favor of banning it. But no, I do not plan on banning it immediately.
All you can say is I'm in favor of phasing out fracking over an X period of time as
based
we
off
phase
what
in.
experts determine is what we are replacing that said energy with renewable energies, and that is not detrimental to the economies of that area. Boom. One sentence. And there's no fucking controversy.
Why is that so hard?
It's not. It's not that fucking hard.
and like it's the perfect thing is we will phase out fracking as we move into more American sourced
renewable energy sources,
sustainable energy sources.
Sustainable. Fuck it. Yeah.
Like
find the buzzword that's renewable, sustainable, green. Find that buzzword and use that to be your fucking climate change energy talking point. It's so basic. It's like that's just how you run a campaign. That's how you have a policy position, a party platform. Like the fact that the Democrats as across the nation are not saying this shit is a fucking travesty.
Somebody in the comments here said, "What's Trump's plan for fracking?" And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's too green for him. He just wants to go back to coal, apparently.
He wants to bring back the traders.
the fur traders. No, and that's... And again, back to Democratic messaging on, like, this shouldn't be that hard, this is a national security thing. Like... oil prices and natural gas prices are affected by the global market. You know what isn't? How much the sun shines and the wind blows. So we can be more energy independent if we have, natural resources that Saudi Arabia can't affect when they're mad at us, or Russia can't affect when they start a war, or
exactly. Ask a Republican, or maybe in the debate, fucking ask how much of our oil and natural gas that we use in the United States is produced by United States. It's like, so how much of the natural gas and gas that we produce is actually being consumed by us?
Oh, I mean, well, if you're talking just nets, it's a lot.
I bet it's closer to 50% than you think.
Probably. But we export a lot of our crude.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
and we import.
We're not using the fucking shit that we pull out of the ground. Because that's the way a global market works.
Right, exactly.
And so that's why that's how you can debunk the narrative that we need to do more drilling in order to be energy independent. It's like, and that's a more convoluted way. And obviously we're almost an hour in, and I've had a couple beers.
we were worried about this one not having enough material, but we've just been ranting the whole time. This is probably our lowest quality episode so far, so we are sorry.
This is our year anniversary episode. This is the most quality.
This is where we just get drunk and just do what we do at the bar most of the time, which is why we started doing this podcast, because our wives were very mad.
It's an homage to who we are as people. That's this episode.
Yeah. No, this feels more like the podcast I think about when I hear podcasts, and I'm like, oh. Like, just two people who have no business talking about any of this shit, just giving all of their opinions constantly about everything.
I will say our lack of data is worrying in some of these discussion topics. I will admit I would absolutely prefer to have an episode like the one that we did on climate change every time, and we discussed the numbers and like the actual fucking problems.
And some people in here saying they're enjoying this and they prefer this kind of podcast. Obviously, I just like to I like to throw hard numbers out there so people can't be like, no, you're wrong.
Well, right. I mean, that's like the pragmatic side of us, where if we were actually debating somebody, like we would much rather our podcast represent more of that,
Right.
You know, that type of information distribution versus what we consider to be more lowbrow potentially.
Oh, and on here too, they're saying, Mr. Global is great for this. I don't know if you follow Mr. Global or not. But I did invite him on this podcast. Admittedly, it wasn't for energy related stuff, but I would love to. I asked him on for that as well, and he always says he's like, yeah, I'll do that, and he has not actually followed through with that.
Yeah, well, everybody's got a busy schedule.
No, that's true. That's true. I would very much love to have Mr. Global on to talk energy stuff, because I very much feel that he has a very unbiased, factually based stance on energy markets. There's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily agree with him on things, but like
I guess I don't know that much about. I like his content. I've liked a few of his videos, but I haven't really apparently followed him quite as much as you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Because we're mutuals on TikTok and everything, and no, I very much enjoy his content. He very much, centrist independent presents, which is fine. It's just
It's not our move.
and I appreciate that. I appreciate that because he comes from a perspective of he's an oil man. He owns oil rigs, I'm pretty sure. He's in the oil industry.
Right.
Like he's in the oil industry. He's a global oil and gas expert.
Entrepreneur of the oil industry.
Yeah. So and apparently oil and gas expert has publications in it. And he's like, this is the data, this is what the markets and the businesses look at when they're coming into this, and it's not what you politically feel like it is according to your political perspective.
That's a strong position to be in. I definitely can commend him on that.
Yeah. So no, I would love to have him on. The invitation is standing and open.
And all you people requested it, message him or DM him.
Yeah, guys can harass him again for it. Y'all did. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I gave him my phone number even. I don't have his yet, but I sent him mine. I'm like, you can text me and just let me know when you want to do it.
Anyways, back to flip-flopping.
Yeah, back to flip-flopping.
Did you know that Trump, under the right conditions, if done the right way, could be for marijuana legalization?
That would be huge.
That'd be huge.
Huge.
It's done great things. Great things.
Yeah.
For some things.
I've heard about some really high results.
High results.
The results have been very high in the great things that the weed can do when you're avoiding sharks to not get electrocuted.
Yeah. So Trump is now potentially contemplating the legalization of some aspects of marijuana.
I give zero. Honestly, I don't even fucking care, because he says whatever feels good at the moment on the stand, and that will change that'll change 2 minutes into the same fucking not even, that'll change 30 seconds into the same speech. He will not have completed a sentence.
Right.
And he will have said two opposing ideologies and policy positions in that same sentence. This happens every speech he gives.
Right.
I give, because it's like with Project 2025. Oh, they're great people. I've hired pretty much all of them.
Right.
And now I have nothing to do with Project 2025. I don't know what is that.
Right. So I joked. I have 2 points on here. The headline being Trump flipping on marijuana ? And then a very short sentence about how he was tougher on marijuana laws and repealed some of the laws that Obama put in place, and has definitely not been a legalized marijuana now candidate. And then the second point is, who cares?
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit, because he's not gonna.
It's fucking Trump. He'll literally say anything if he thinks he might get a couple more voters. To be like, oh, maybe he actually might do something that could possibly be something that I like.
I got tagged in a video of a girl who's like, "Oh, I just genuinely want to know why you're voting for Kamala, because I know why I'm voting for Trump, but I just like genuinely want to know."
I genuinely want to know.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you fucking don't. But like, somebody tagged me because they wanted me to respond to it. I'm like, I'm not even gonna waste my time with this one because like,
Hey, I did like your stitch on the. I'd like to see a man who, a progressive man who has a beard and does outdoorsy thing, and who is like good looking, and like I was like, yep, that's the perfect response to that type. I almost thought of making one of those videos.
Yeah.
But I didn't have as many things in my backyard as you do.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit to go.
Right. I was like, I could do a few push-ups. I could shoot my gun. I can. Are you own a car?
Yeah. I own a Honda Civic.
Hey,
manly.
Great gas mileage, 41 miles to the gallon, baby, in the summertime. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, no, I get that. No, but they wanted that, and I was reading through comments, and somebody like said something like, "I'm voting for Kamala because I don't want Project 2025," and the girl's response was, "Oh, he has nothing to do with 2025. Stop listening to the media and just listen to what he says." And I'm like, which fucking time?
Right.
Like,
Also, what? I have friends who are literally voting for Trump who will tell me, "Oh yeah, I don't really like everything that Trump says, and I don't like hold him to a high standard on him saying anything whatsoever." And it's like, so how can you be both?
yeah,
You got to choose one. Either
Yep.
you don't trust anything he says because he says he's got word vomit and that's just all he fucking does, or you do have to take him at his word at every single time he says something. He changes his position or changes his mind, or a tech billionaire tells him that he should be doing something and then he listens to them. Like, you have to be one or the other. You can't have it both ways all the time.
No, especially when they hold like Kamala to the same standard, which
Right.
again, we're sitting here giving her a hard time today.
Well, it's not even her necessarily as much as the Democratic Party,
Right.
and as much as her policy positions. We just want to hold her accountable in the way that we believe that progressives should be holding the Democratic Party accountable. That's all it is.
100%.
I'm probably still going to be voting for her, although in Minnesota, because I know Minnesota's mostly a lock. I might be going to Claudia de la Cruz route just to give the socialist candidate a little bit of love.
No.
In Minnesota,
do you realize how close Minnesota was in 2016?
I do realize that.
Do not fucking do that. I will beat you with a rubber hose, man. I will run you over with your own Honda Civic, okay? That's how manly I am.
I will commit murder. I will maim you. That's how manly I am. Oh, that's fair. I'm mostly joking. And
we're a lock till we're not. Like,
no, it's true. It's
like
true.
the whole goddamn blue wall was a lock till it wasn't, and
although
that's
the blue wall is still like a somewhat of a semi-strong strategy, politically speaking.
I mean, it is if you just don't fucking hack the whole thing like Clinton did. But like,
well, yeah, she was a special case, I think.
Oh my god, that was the worst presidential candidacy I think I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, and we're pretty biased because we were for Bernie, and DNC fucked Bernie in the ass and didn't even lube up ahead of time, just raw dogged it nice and dry.
And for clarity's sake, I still voted for Hillary Clinton.
Right? No, me too. Well, actually, that was the Gary Johnson year.
You got to be fucking kidding me!
No.
Oh my god, why are we friends again? Jesus Christ.
That was like, what, 2016?
Here we go. Okay, sorry.
college.
We covered this a little bit earlier, but Myriad Mindbender here said, I dislike Trump, but Kamala pledging her allegiance to Israel. Do you know who Trump has pledged his fucking allegiance to? He has said, why haven't they finished the job sooner? He is all for giving more support. He has absolutely no checks and balances on this issue. Where is it that you people keep coming with this shit? Like, I really got to know. Like, what do you think the alternative is on this topic?
The U.S. foreign policy has no opposition. We are a dominating, colonizing foreign policy, and we have always been that way. Neither party will change that. So I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Jonah Wilder, who moved the embassy to Israel? Who to Jerusalem? Who said if it wasn't for Trump, this wouldn't have happened. Trump emboldened Netanyahu.
True. Right.
I 1,000%. I would bet every dime I have that had Trump not emboldened Netanyahu to put the full force of U.S. behind against the United Nations, because no other president in history has acknowledged Jerusalem as the capital. It's always been Tel Aviv. They've never acknowledged Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And
hell, even fucking Germany.
Oh, so voting for either is genocide. Cool. So yeah, voting for somebody who's not going to win is also genocide. Congrats.
Right. No, that's really what it comes down to, is because if you don't vote, then it's still happening.
Yeah.
If you vote for either
third
one,
party, it's like not voting.
Well, yeah, because there's literally no statistically possible way that they do win, even if there is no electoral winner.
Then Congress gets to choose,
gets to
and
vote,
they're
and
not
guess,
choosing your
guess how many
third-party
independents are in fucking Congress? That'd be 0. That fucking matter.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do somehow manage to get enough electoral votes to disrupt, you would have to get 80 million fucking people to vote for you, and not a single independent can even get like 10 million people to sign their fucking name on a petition.
No, there's zero way. So once again, you're voting for genocide no matter what you do. You're voting for genocide if you don't vote. You're just voting for more genocide if you vote for anybody other than the people who are going to be the most reserved on the amount of genocide, I guess, is really where we're at with this.
Oh, that's the exact situation that we're in. Obviously, we fucking hate that.
Yeah, no, it sucks. But welcome to the world of gray. Like,
right, and welcome to America. Holy shit!
And this isn't new.
We've rode the authoritarian right wing dick since like the inception of fucking America. Like, that's just who we are. Hitler took some of his notes from America.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you like? What? That's who our country is.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry you're new here. Welcome to the party. It sucks. Everything is awful.
Yeah, we've said so many times that we're on the worst timeline that isn't an apocalypse. That's the timeline we're on. It is true. Like,
and we're doing our best to slowly nudge ourselves off of that timeline in the only feasible way possibly forward. And that way may not even work, but it's what we got at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what? So,
and now they said we're making the exact same mistakes as the boomers. And first of all, wow, ouch, go fuck yourself. Second of all, absolutely not. Boomers are the ones who put this policy in place. They are the ones who
they weren't in power in 1947 in fucking Israel, but
through the Cold War era,
who deregulated our businesses, who stripped away labor in this country, the fucking boomers.
We are the ones calling for those reversals of policy.
Yeah.
And we are trying to put the people who are most likely to help us achieve those reversals of policy. Unless you're ready to, I'm not new here. I'm an infantry veteran and know more about country's corruption than you ever will. Okay, and yet you're still saying the same shit. Like, I don't understand. Like, unless you're suggesting violent overthrow of the government.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like there's two options.
Yeah.
There's progressive, slow legislative changes that hopefully we are advocating for. Ranked choice voting and publicly funded campaign financing are the two biggest ones that can make the most immediate impact and help the people of Palestine the most.
Yep.
But no, that's not good enough.
No,
I don't get it. Like, it's either that or revolution.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you want to talk about that, let's talk about that. But you can't hang that over people's heads at every fucking point when you feel like you're being cornered into a position where you can't discuss.
And then the same person comes and says, and no one is going to violently overthrow the government. What? Please, for the love of fucking God, let us know your path forward. Then
I would be happy to hear that.
I'm desperate. I am desperate to know the path forward, because no matter what, we're voting for genocide. If we don't vote, you're still voting for genocide. If you vote third party, you're voting for genocide. If you're not going to overthrow the government violently, which I would genuinely probably agree with at this point currently. So we vote for the least genocidal genocide people, and then push our legislative path forward, which we have outlined. We have given a legitimate path that works through our legislative system if we can get enough people behind it to move forward.
We literally are providing solutions that are reasonable. They're
yeah.
not unreasonable solutions.
No,
Yeah. Anyways, back to the episode. We're about to wrap it up. So, are any of these things gonna stop us? Like, are they deal breakers?
No.
We just said there's no other deal. This is the deal.
No,
if you're going to exist, this is the reality of which we exist in. Clearly, it is not our preference. Immigration and Medicare for all are really big deals.
They are.
That she's just completely fumbling the ball on. There is still hope that Walz can push for some of the things that Minnesota has done and make headway in helping average working families like he has done in Minnesota. So, I mean, in the end, like, I don't think that expanding the child tax credit or like giving a tax break to first-time home buyers, I personally don't feel like that's going to be enough to swing to get more progressives and more young people out there to vote for him, especially with somebody like this guy is not alone in his sentiment of the current situation of voting for somebody or not. So,
and I understand. I empathize with the feeling, but I also live in reality. Like, those are and like, I understand this sucks, and I wish there was any other realistic option.
Right.
But there's just not.
Not as far as I can see it.
Exactly. And I'm open. I am open to anybody. If you can prove, I love being proven wrong. I will make you work for it fucking hard, but I love being proven wrong because I have learned something new.
Okay, that did kind of sound like a boomer statement. Not gonna lie.
What?
I don't think you're wrong, but like, I'm gonna make you work for it. That brought me a little bit of boomer vibes.
I'm sorry. How does that bring boomer vibes?
I think you're true, and I don't think that everything the boomers have done or ever said is like wrong. Like, clearly there are good boomers too.
All right.
Just the thing that I'm most worried about with Kamala, and I think this guy's also very worried about, is that the biggest thing that will change with her being elected is that now we get to say we elected 2 black presidents and one of them was a woman.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that will change.
And
that's what we're advocating for here today, is for shit to change.
Yep. 100%. Well, on that disappointing note.
It's fine. It's fine. We're good. We're gonna... Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who stuck through this, our 1 year anniversary ish.
Yeah. Episode 52, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, look forward to our special episode with the presidential debate reaction coming out at the debate, after it. Because this episode should be released on the 10th. That's when the debate happens.
So. All right. Yeah, we're going to live stream the debate. Do that.
What?
We're going to live do that.
We're going to live it up. And then we're going to release that episode as a special episode for anybody who didn't watch the debate live. Can hopefully see our reactions. I don't actually know how we're going to
we haven't figured that out yet.
Do the technology side of things yet. But we're going to try. We're going to try our best.
All right, guys. Once again, buy merch at offshorewagon.com, both Let Them Eat Toast merch and Offshore Wagon merch. You can subscribe on basically all of our channels now.
Yeah, YouTube, Patreon, as little as $1 or $5, whatever you want to do.
We don't offer anything special for it, but
but you do get very you get communication with us directly. Like you don't have to do DMs through TikTok or anything.
No.
Like if you're a subscriber, we respond to messages and we'll chat with you. If you have a topic that you want to discuss, give us $1 one time and we will talk about that topic.
And also, it's just a nice way to say thank you if you appreciate the work we're doing. Yeah. If not, tell us to go fuck ourselves. Either way, and honestly, you guys just watching, engaging. Yeah. That's really why we do this. We have to beg for money because unfortunately life costs money. But
it does. We live in a capitalist society. We don't live in a communist society where money is money.
I don't know. The Republicans keep telling us that like Joe Biden is super communist and Kamala Harris is super communist. So apparently we do. It's just I'm just waiting for the actual communism.
Right? Yeah, that'd be super duper at this point. If we're gonna be called a communist, might as well get the benefits of the theoretical society.
Anyway, but yeah, so we appreciate you guys on all of that, and we will see you next week today at the debate, I suppose.
That's right. Tune in for the debate if you're listening here in the morning. So yeah, thanks for tuning in again, and appreciate you sticking. If you're still here, like, congratulations.
Rambling Minnesota goodbye of a fucking ending. All right, we love you all. Goodbye.